Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. For those of you who don't know me or follow me on Instagram, my name is Nikki. I finally decided to start a YouTube channel. This is something I have been holding off for a very long time, and I just decided to quit procrastinating and go ahead and do it. Today, I want to do a little story time with you guys and talk to you all about my labor and delivery story. I have a 5-month-old son, soon to be 6 months. And my labor and delivery story is pretty interesting. So yeah, let's get into it. When I went into labor, I honestly didn't even know that I was in labor, which is really crazy and maybe hard to believe for those of you who don't have kids or don't really understand how labor works. Before I got pregnant, before I went into labor, I just assumed that my water was gonna break. I did not know that you could go into labor and your water didn't have to necessarily break. So my water never broke. I was in labor for a whole day before I even realized that I was actually in labor. The pain that I was feeling, like the contractions, I was getting what I thought was Braxton Hicks contractions. Come to find out they were actually real contractions. I wasn't timing them at first. I just was kind of, brushing it off like, oh, it's nothing, it's just Braxton Hicks, it'll go away. They did not go away. They just got worse and worse and worse. It's really funny also, the day that I went into labor, is the day that I got my son's room together. It's the day that I got everything ready, my hospital bag. I didn't start, I had already had stuff together, but everything was finalized and ready to go that day, which is crazy. For some reason, I just decided, okay, I'm gonna clean the dust off my son's crib. I'm gonna make sure his blanket is together and straight, the sheets are in there, everything's good, everything's clean, all his clothes is washed and put away. My hospital bag, I made sure everything was together, my clothes, my partner's clothes, everything, snacks, all that. I made sure that everything was together that day. I don't know what it was just something told me to, just do it. So I did it. And my partner was like, what you doing? We have time. Because I wasn't due for another week. I went into labor 5 days early. I was due on the 4th of July and I gave birth on June 29th. But I was in labor the previous day. So I was in labor the whole day of the 28th. So around 7 p.m. the day before I gave birth, is when the contractions became really, really intense. They just started getting really strong, and I was like, okay, whoa, this gotta be the real contractions. This is not Braxton Hicks. Because usually if I sit down or stand up, I had used my mom's exercise ball, so I was sitting on that. Nothing was helping, nothing. I try to brush it off. I try to get some rest. Because you're not supposed to rush to the hospital right away when you're in labor anyway. You're supposed to give it some time, wait a couple hours before you actually go. Otherwise, you'll go to the hospital, they'll either send you home, or you'll just be in the hospital and they'll make you walk around or do a bunch of stuff that you don't want to do until it's time for you to actually push the baby out. Or if you're not doing a vaginal birth, C-section, or whatever the case may be. So I'm at home trying to relax, trying to, wait as long as I possibly can. I can't lay down because the pain's not going away. So I get on all fours, on my hands and knees, and start doing this maternity exercise, because I don't know what to do at this point. I just want the pain to stop. And then all of a sudden I just start throwing up all my food that I ate that day, which sucks because now I'm gonna be in labor on an empty stomach, and you can't eat when you're in labor. They don't let you eat anything. So I was hungry the whole time that I was in labor at the hospital as well. But anyway, so I'm doing that. I start throwing up all my food, and I'm running to the bathroom because it feels like I really have to use the bathroom, but I don't have to use the bathroom. That's just the pressure that you feel when you're in labor. So my partner comes, he's there with me, my mom's there with me, and they both just look so helpless because there's nothing that they can do to make the pain stop. And I'm just there on the floor. I was crawling on the floor. I was just in the worst pain ever, like, if you have bad period contractions, imagine, like, period contractions. If you have bad, like, period cramps, imagine that times, like, 1,000. Like, they hurt a lot. It's not, like, unbearable, but they hurt. Anyway, so yeah, I'm crawling on the floor. My mom's like, do you want to go to the hospital now? I'm like, we called the hospital. They told me not to come in until they're 2 to 3 minutes apart. So I'm timing them, like, we timing them. At this point, we timing them. And I'm like, no, I don't want to go to the hospital because they're not 2 to 3 minutes apart. So I'm waiting for them to dead become 2 to 3 minutes apart, right? They don't never become 2 to 3 minutes apart. They be like 5 minutes, then 2 minutes, then 3 minutes, then 4 minutes, then 2 minutes. Like, they're real inconsistent. So honestly, low key in this point, I'm still thinking that this is not even labor, because I'm like, they're so inconsistent. Because I was timing my Braxton Hicks contractions way before, like, over time, when I thought that I was going into like preterm labor or something. So I would time my Braxton Hicks contractions and they would be just as inconsistent, and then they would just stop. So I'm timing these, they're inconsistent, but they haven't stopped yet. It would stop for like a period of maybe like 10 minutes, 13 minutes, and then come back again, which was crazy to me because they're super inconsistent. I'm thinking they're supposed to become more consistent and then stay like that. No. At this point, I'm tired. It's like 11, 12 at night, and me and my partner are mad tired. My partner, he got work in the morning, but obviously he's not gonna go because I'm in labor. He had just worked that whole morning, and he works the early morning shift. But so he was tired. He's up with me. We falling asleep in between my contractions, so we trying to catch naps in between my contractions, and then I'm waking up to like the worst pain ever. And they tell you to breathe through them. I didn't think it was gonna be that hard to breathe through your contractions, just because, like, I don't know about how anybody else, but when I feel pain like that, it makes me want to hold my breath until the pain stops. And you can't, when you're pregnant, you can't hold your breath, because then you're blocking off oxygen to your baby. So like, I'm trying to breathe through them. People is talking to me, my partner is touching me. I don't want nobody touching me. I don't want nobody talking to me. Like, it hurts that bad. I think at some point the pain just got so bad, I just put my clothes on and I was like, take me to the hospital right now. I can't do this anymore. So they bring my bags down. We get in the car. We drive to the hospital. The hospital's like 10 minutes away. But that 10 minutes felt like 30 minutes. I'm not even gonna lie. Just driving to the hospital, that was crazy. Like, I thought I was gonna give birth in the car because it hurt that bad. Like, I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. And then we get to the hospital. They bring me to the emergency room. Only me and my partner are allowed inside because I gave birth during the pandemic. So it's just me and my partner in there. And my mom couldn't come up with us, so we on the phone with her. They asking me a whole bunch of questions. Like, there's a whole lot of, you gotta fill out paperwork when you go. Even though, like, it was planned for me to give birth at this hospital and I was a patient at the clinic there and everything, it didn't matter. There's a whole bunch of paperwork that you have to fill out. They ask you a whole bunch of questions about how you want to give birth and all this stuff. They hook me up to the fetal monitor because they have to monitor the baby's heartbeat and all of that. And honestly, all the questions they asking me, I'm not even trying to hear none of that because I'm in pain. Like, don't talk to me. What are you asking me? Like, and then they also trying to do this in between the contractions. In between the contractions, I'm trying to catch my breath. But whatever. I probably endured 90% of my labor without an epidural, and then at the last minute I opted to get it just because, like, at that point the pain became so intense that I felt like I couldn't even hear. Like, people were talking to me, the nurses and doctors were coming to ask me questions, and I couldn't hear, I couldn't think. I felt like I couldn't breathe, honestly. Like, I felt like I could not breathe. So I was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna go ahead and get the epidural. I didn't plan on getting it. I was kind of open to, I wasn't opposed to not getting anything or for getting anything. I just kept an open mind. I decided to get an epidural. And because I got an epidural, I was not able to give birth in the position that I wanted, simply because the lower half of your body is numb. So I couldn't feel my legs, and I wasn't able to, you know, be in the squatted position that I wanted to be in. So, and also it makes you immobile, so I wasn't able to get up and use the bathroom when I wanted to. They hooked me up to a catheter, and I was just in bed probably for about an hour, hour and a half before I gave birth, after they gave me the epidural. The doctor who gave me the epidural and did the procedure was very knowledgeable, very experienced, so I felt very comfortable. Everybody around me seemed like they were on top of their job, so I felt really comfortable. So yeah, I got the epidural around like 6:30, 6:45. After that they let me rest, and then about like an hour and a half later, around 8:15, is when I gave birth. Probably like around 8:10, 8:05. I probably was pushing for about like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes, and then I pushed my baby out. Thank God for this epidural. I did not feel any pain. I think they're amazing. People kind of frown upon, you know, women who want to give birth with an epidural, saying it's not a natural birth. Listen, if you want to get an epidural because your contractions are too painful, go ahead and get one. If you don't want to get one, that's cool too. I feel like you shouldn't frown upon any woman who's deciding to do anything when she's giving birth just because it's her decision. Like, y'all, contractions hurt a lot, and childbirth hurts a lot, and it is a very strenuous procedure and a serious operation. Like, let people do what they want with their bodies, you know? So yeah, I chose to get an epidural. If I have another child, I don't know. I probably will get one again just because I had such a good experience with this one. A lot of people also give epidurals like a negative outlook because it's said that you can have like long-term back damage and like back pain after getting one. I also feel like that goes hand in hand with like who's giving you your epidural. Like if you have a doctor who's very knowledgeable and knows what he's doing or knows what she's doing and knows exactly how to give you this medication, then I feel like you're good. My anesthesiologist, he knew what he was doing, and it was 1, 2, 3. Like it was no mistakes being made. Like I felt it working instantly. Like it did its job. And it honestly made childbirth a breeze, and I'm glad because I was able to enjoy it, and it wasn't a negative experience. Like it was a really good experience. Like I'm actually really excited for when I'm ready to have another baby. So that's one thing to think about. Just maybe keep an open mind. There are also other options. Like you don't have to get an epidural. There's other medication that you can get that can make it less painful. So yeah, around 8:15, I started pushing the baby out, and it's so funny when they came in because we were legit getting some sleep. Like my partner was in the chair. He was like, he had his eyes closed. I think he was trying to catch up on his sleep. I was laying down. I was trying to sleep, but I couldn't. I was like really, really cold. Like I had asked them for like 10 blankets. Like I was so cold. I couldn't stop shivering. But anyway, yeah, I didn't sleep, but I was like relaxed. And they came in the room, super surprising, like, and they were like, okay, we're gonna go ahead and just do you first because we have 2 other C-sections to do. And I was like, you're gonna, right here, right now? Like they came into the room we were in, they didn't bring me to the delivery room, nothing. Like the room that they brought us into after, right as soon as we came into the hospital, that room that we were in, they just came and started setting up, bring out tables, bring these blue sheets and blankets, changed the setting on my bed so that I was propped up a little bit, and that's it. There were no like stirrups on the bed either, like to prop up my feet. So these 2 nurses came, one on each side of the bed, and I like put my feet on them, and they were like, okay, just push your feet out on us, and that's how I gave birth. I probably pushed maybe, I want to say about 4 times, 4 or 5 big pushes, and I was able to push my baby out. I didn't feel my placenta come out. I wasn't really paying attention at that point. Like after my baby came out, honestly, I felt like I was done. Like I was like, okay, my job here is done. Yeah, the baby came out. The hospital I was in was great. They gave me, my son, and my partner, you know, time to bond together, and we did skin to skin for more than an hour, honestly. Like, I was really happy about that. We did skin to skin for probably like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then they came, did his measurements and his weight, and they brought us to the recovery room after they did his measurements while we were eating, which was awesome. You know, I was really excited about that because I was super hungry because I had thrown up all my food. So right after I gave birth, it was breakfast time anyway, which was great. So we were able to eat, and then we had like a little bit of time with our baby, and then they helped me to the bathroom because at that point my legs are still numb from the epidural, and they brought us to the recovery room. It was honestly pretty scary just being in a pandemic and having to give birth that way. It was just me and my partner in the room, and then the nurses. Everybody was wearing a mask. We had to be wearing a mask. And also, wearing a mask and giving birth is literally like the worst thing in the whole world. Like, it's hard enough trying to breathe regular without that on. Like, having to do all of that with a mask on is not it. They brought us to our own room, and the room was really cool. Like, the chair in there turned into a bed, which my partner, he's pretty big, so you know, it wasn't enough. We stayed in the hospital for like 3 days with our baby. They also didn't bathe him right away, which I'm really happy about that too. They let him, you know, stay in his natural, you know, fresh out the womb for a little while, because that stuff that's on this baby's skin right out the womb is honestly really good for them. It's not like you're not supposed to bathe them right away, which is cool. They waited a couple hours. They waited like 12 hours before they gave him his first bath, which I'm really happy about that. And we were breastfeeding him. We latched him on right away. He's still being breastfed to this day, which I'm really happy about. And that's my story. I don't really have anything more to say about my labor and delivery story. Make sure you like this video, comment below if you have kids, or comment below if your birth story is similar to mine. Make sure you subscribe to my channel for more content. I have more content on the way, more videos on the way. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.